Under the soft glow of my workshop's warm lamp, I decided to embark on a project that had been living quietly in my imagination for months, crafting a dreamy purple castle, the kind that looked as if it had stepped straight out of a fairy tale book. I envisioned soaring towers with pointed roofs, delicate windows glowing with golden light, and walls painted in shades of lilac, lavender, and royal purple. This castle would not just be a handmade model, it would be a place where magic felt possible, even if it existed only in miniature form. The first step was gathering the materials. I pulled out thick cardboard sheets for the structure, lightweight foam boards for the inner supports, and a collection of decorative papers in every purple tone I could find. There were rolls of soft lilac wrapping paper, sheets of velvety plum fabric, glittery violet cardstock, and even some iridescent paper that shimmered between pink and purple depending on the light. I also set aside my trusty hot glue gun, scissors, a ruler, a craft knife, and tiny embellishments like beads, sequins, and miniature faux flowers. I began with the base. A sturdy rectangle of cardboard became the foundation, reinforced with layers to ensure it wouldn't bend. I imagined this as the green grassland on which the castle would proudly stand, so I wrapped it in textured green paper, sprinkling it with tiny white faux daisies to give it life. Next came the main walls. I cut tall rectangles of cardboard, each destined to be a tower wall or central hall. Carefully, I glued them into place, forming a large rectangular building in the center, flanked by 4 tall cylindrical towers at each corner. To make the towers, I rolled thinner cardboard into perfect cylinders and secured them with glue. It was a slow process, holding each one in place until the glue set, but watching the silhouette of my castle take shape made my heart flutter with excitement. Once the structure stood firm, it was time to cloak it in color. I covered the central hall in lavender paper, smoothing each sheet to avoid wrinkles. The towers were wrapped in slightly darker violet, giving them a regal appearance. To make the castle even more enchanting, I added brick patterns. I cut tiny rectangles from silver cardstock and glued them one by one, mimicking the stonework of ancient fairy tale fortresses. This was meticulous work, but the effect was breathtaking. The walls looked like they were built from enchanted stone. The roofs were perhaps my favorite part to design. I crafted tall, cone-shaped spires for the towers, using glossy plum paper sprinkled with fine glitter so they shimmered like stardust under the light. Each roof was topped with a golden bead, giving the impression of magical finials that could harness moonlight. For the central hall's roof, I used a folded paper technique to mimic shingles, alternating between light and dark purple for a whimsical look. Windows and doors brought personality to the castle. I cut delicate arched windows from gold foil paper and framed them with silver borders, imagining the warm glow of candlelight within. The grand entrance was an arched double door made from textured deep violet paper, decorated with tiny golden studs. Above the door, I glued a miniature coat of arms, a shield cut from shimmering lilac paper with a silver crown in the center signifying that this was a royal home. I didn't want my castle to just stand on plain ground, so I built a miniature surrounding landscape. I added a cobblestone path leading to the entrance, made from small oval pieces of gray paper arranged neatly in curves. Alongside the path, I glued clusters of purple and pink faux flowers, making it look like the castle gardens were always in bloom. On one side of the castle, I placed a tiny paper bridge over a moat made from glossy blue cardstock, which I topped with a thin layer of clear resin to give the illusion of rippling water. The details kept coming to me as I worked. I made tiny banners from satin ribbon in shades of lilac and violet, letting them flutter from the towers. I glued miniature butterflies around the flowers, cut from metallic paper so their wings shimmered in the light. I even created tiny birds out of folded paper, perching them on the windowsills as if they were singing to the princess who surely lived inside. When the construction was finally complete, I stepped back and looked at my creation. The purple castle stood proudly on its grassy base, its glittering roofs catching the light, its windows glowing warmly, and its gardens bursting with tiny flowers. It looked like a scene from a bedtime story, a place where brave knights, gentle queens, and wise wizards might live. But it wasn't just a castle, it was a memory, a dream, and a piece of my own imagination made real. Every brick, every flower, every curve of the towers had passed through my hands, carrying my time and patience into the finished piece. This was why I loved handcrafting, because it allowed me to build not just with materials, but with feelings. Later that evening, I placed the castle on my bookshelf, right next to my collection of fairy tale novels. When the sunlight from my window hit it the next morning, the purple seemed to come alive, glowing with warmth and magic. It felt as though the tiny princess inside was about to step out onto her balcony, greet her people, and begin a new chapter in her story. Handcrafting this purple castle reminded me of something important, that we can bring pieces of magic into our everyday lives. Sometimes, the world can be noisy and full of worries, but when we sit down with our materials, focus on small details, and let our imagination guide us, we create more than objects. We create places to escape to, even for just a few moments. In the end, the castle wasn't just a display piece, it became a symbol of my creativity, patience, and belief in beauty, and maybe, just maybe, on quiet nights when the moonlight spills across my room, the tiny golden finials atop the towers catch a bit of moon magic, and the purple fairy tale castle dreams its own dreams.